Welcome back. Another fantabulous Monday. Busy Monday, but thank everyone for being here. We appreciate you being in attendance. And man, I'm super excited about this week. I don't know if it's because I only worked 3 days or
And you going to Mexico?
headed to
Just put it
Mexico,
out there.
man. I'm excited, but
You get back from Africa, then you go to Mexico, man. I want your life, bro.
hey, I'm just trying to be diverse. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to be diverse. But nevertheless, welcome back to RAD Podcast. I'm one half of our dynamic team. My name's Larry Jefferson, straight out of Oak Cliff, Texas. I'd steal some of Dantrayl. Dantrayl can't be the only person on here representing his city.
Hey, Dantrayl Smith representing Memphis 10. And man, how about them Celtics, man? We 3-0.
Nobody don't
Like
care about this.
we might close them out tonight, man. I gotta hurry up
The
and get
man.
home, man.
Hey
Anyway,
man,
man.
um, as a Laker fan, I hate to say it, but they are looking good.
I appreciate that, man. I know it took all the strength and energy for you to say that out of your spirit. I
Listen,
appreciate that.
listen. I have like the LED lights all over my room, right? So when I'm in my man cave and I want to chill, I'll let every color, like I switch colors every day, but one color I will not turn, and that's green.
Green.
But nevertheless, we have two fantastic panelists on today. And Renee, you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I am Renee Williams with Renee Williams Group. I help high performing entrepreneurs with back office challenges so they can grow their business. So anything that you need with teams, automations, culture in your small or entrepreneurial business, I'm your girl.
All righty. Crystal?
All right. Hey. I am Crystal Thornton, licensed professional counselor, and also the owner of Seven Counseling and Wellness, and also a newly published author that I'm so proud of.
Hey, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. But I work with women and foster children, and I assist them with trauma and dealing with life transitions and, getting things back to normal. So thank you all for having me.
All righty.
All right, we appreciate it all. Appreciate you all. Thank you everybody logging in. As you all know, today we're actually talking about supporting your mental health, personal wellness, and financial freedom. And so the first question that I have to our panelists is, we talk about wellness. Like, what does it mean to you? What first things come to mind, like when you talk about actual wellness? What does that mean?
I guess I'll start first. For me, it means the whole body. When you talk about wellness, I think about holistic. I think about your mental. I think about your physical, and I think about your spiritual. And they're all intertwined and connected. One is no more greater than the other, but in order for you to be balanced, you have to find a balance within all three.
I completely agree with you. I'm thinking the same thing. So as far as the business or the wealth side of it is concerned, we have to have the mindset for wealth to make sense for us, because some of us grew up in situations where we didn't see wealth, or maybe rich people were thought to be, some we didn't want to be. They were they were other people, and not always thought of as nice or generous or kind. And so there's a mindset shift that has to happen. So it is very mental when it comes to wealth, and understanding that it is okay for us to be millionaires and to be wealthy. So it is a very holistic thing to it. I agree.
Absolutely.
Let me ask both of you all this as a follow-up question to that. Do you think, and let's just speak to the minority community. When we talk about wellness, I feel like when they talk about wellness, they only focus on one aspect, and it's the health. Like, why do you think that is the only aspect that they think about when we talk about other areas, or just really just being well?
I think it's lack of education. When you got to think, you got to go back to your history when you're growing up and you're talking about, oh, she doesn't feel well. A lot of times it's about physical health. As children, I don't even remember being taught about, having a clear head space or having some time alone to, to debrief when you're angry. It was always, oh, your grandmother is sick, or he's not feeling well, or we have to go to the doctor. It was always physical. It was never physical as far as like, okay, you need to work out so that you can feel better, or you need to start drinking more water. You need to eat more vegetables. You need to take your vitamins. You need to get more nutrients in your body. Spirituality. Now, Black people, we go to church. Most of us do. I know I grew up in the church, but it was never talked about or connected to as far as like your mental, your physical,
Right.
and your spiritual. And to be honest with you, when I grew up, I'm a 80s baby. They didn't talk about mental health at all growing up.
Facts. Facts.
So
I don't remember one conversation ever.
none. And I think that has a lot to do why Black people have had a history of turning their nose up at talking to someone outside of the family for mental health, because we've always been told whatever goes on in this house stays in this house.
Yep.
And generations and generations to come, I think now we're kind of coming out of it. Especially since the pandemic, people are starting to realize, man, I really do need to talk to somebody besides my auntie or my favorite first cousin, because it's bias. It's bias in it. You got to think about it. It's bias. And, like Larry, my first cousin, right? And I talk to Larry about everything, and if I tell Larry something about my boyfriend beating me up, and what should I do? Larry not thinking about my mental health. Larry like, I'm gonna get him. Like, it's time to show down,
Right.
So you have to talk to somebody that's not biased, and that's a professional that can give you the right help. So I think it has a lot to do with that. It starts back, from our history from a long time ago.
I agree. I completely agree. And as far as the mental health piece, I think when I started to go to church here in Houston, there was a very, very large church, like a mega church. That was a Black church here in Houston that I started going to. And the pastor from the pulpit would say, it is time for us to take the taboo off of mental health. And we are going to provide counseling here at the church by having licensed professional counselors that you can come and talk to, not just premarital counseling, but counseling for life. And we encourage you all to take advantage of that. Now, that was a mega church. It was a very large church. It was a church of color, but still, that was because I came out of a little Baptist church that was like 100 years old, where we were dressed up like slavery days on the anniversary. So it's it's a mindset shift. I think that happens from generation to generation to understand that wellness is a part of spirituality. It is whole. It's holistic.
Definitely.
Okay. So as we talk about wellness, how do you think wellness differs from good health? Like, is there a separation? Is there a difference? Because a lot of people are like, well, I don't need no wellness. I'm in good health.
I'll hit that. I think for some of us, sometimes we have things that are hidden. Hypertension is very high in African American women. Diabetes is very high in general. There are a lot of things that go on just from historic, like the way that we eat, our dietary things, And so there are a lot of things that are going on that are hidden where we can adjust our lifestyle to be more healthy. But again, if we're saying wellness is holistic, then it can't just be the health piece. It needs to be taking care, doing self-care in other areas as well.
Right. Exactly. I believe I really don't think it's really a difference. Because you have to bring it together. I think with education, we'll see more of our people, it starts to make sense to them. But when we talk about self-care also is financial. Self-care is financial. If you have someone, you don't look at your bank account like how often I ask people, how often do you look at your bank account? I look at mine every day, all day. Some people don't look at their bank account, but from paycheck to paycheck. You know, that deals with
That
Must
must
be
be
nice to be
nice.
those people though. Must be nice to be those people though.
That must be. Hey, I check
yes.
mine. I check mine about 3 times a day just to see if somebody accidentally deposited something.
Or took something out that I wasn't ready for.
Right.
Exactly. But when we talk about wellness, we have financial wellness too. We got physical wellness, you know, then you got your mental, you know, everything can be all great. You can be in good health, you can be eating good, your spirituality, you know, your faith can be great and dominant, but you got a poor credit score. You're in debt. You live in paycheck to Monday to paycheck, you know, so it all ties in together. And I think when you have a balance and you're educated on finances, you're educated on your mental health and what that looks like and what self-care can do for you, and then you find your faith and you know what to do when you start having that mental space that's not good, and then you physically are also incorporating the things that you need to do as far as to keep your health and keep your body in condition, and you combine all four of those, you will be overall holistically healthy. It's not a difference.
Can I say this too? I think that we are straddling generations, like where we are. We witnessed our grandparents, Dantrayl and I could speak to this for sure. Like our grandparents worked, they were blue collar. They didn't have college degrees. Now I know that some people did have the benefit, you know, of having people of color had college degrees way back when, but it was a very minute number of people
Right.
who had college degrees. And so we grew up in a generation of people where church was the only place where you could go to get healing, to get mental relief, to get, you know, you go to the cross to take all your burdens because financially you were, you know, less than, or you were not, even no matter how hard you worked, you had, you know, you work twice as hard, you get half as much. And so then in your physical health, you weren't necessarily healthy because of the type of diet and the things that we could afford to eat. And so the things that we enjoy as a culture. And so church, that spiritual piece was kind of where we got kind of a sweet release, you know, of just a peaceful time and place. That's what it was. I feel like now we're moving in a different way. We now have access to everything that we could want or need to have holistic wellness. But we have to maybe slough off or shake off some of the things that our parents and grandparents did so that we can take hold of the opportunities that we have now for holistic wellness. We have to seek it out. And so we have to be looking for self-care and making a priority out of taking care of ourselves in every way possible, despite what we may have seen in the past. This is like uncharted territory for some of us coming from our families. I know for me it is. So it's new. It's new, and I'm learning with it.
So my next question, I really love the mental health, and I want to stay on this because I think it's a very important point. And talk a little bit more about what you're seeing as a trend, right? Crystal, you talked a little bit about now because of the pandemic, George Floyd situation, all the other atrocities that we saw and know about that weren't even visual on TV, right? But talk a little bit about kind of the trend that you're seeing with mental health. Talk a little bit about the importance of getting mental health, and you know, if we're seeing more individuals that look like us that are actually taking advantage. You know, Renee, you talked about we having access. I just talked to a student today in my class, and I was like, "Hey, I haven't seen you in like 3 weeks. Where have you been?" And then the response was, well, I had to do something for myself because I had a mental breakdown. And I'm like, okay, but are you going to talk to somebody, right? Like, it's one thing to take time out for yourself so that you can, you know, reflect or refresh or recharge. But if you're having a serious issue, there's some licensed counsel people that you can go talk to. But yet, when I give them those advice, they don't want to go.
Right.
So please,
Right.
please, by all means, let's talk about that.
Yeah. So this is what I'm experiencing in my practice. I have a private practice, and what I'm seeing with people of color, they're finally admitting to living in fear because of the pandemic and with all the violence that's happening in the Black communities. Um, there's a high percentage of anxiety and panic attacks, in addition to life transitions. And when I'm speaking about life transitions, I'm talking about, okay, I lost my job because of the pandemic. Now I have to be forced to learn something else or do something that I haven't been doing the last 20 years. A lot of jobs have went remote. A lot of people lost their jobs because their jobs couldn't afford the buildings that were housing them, because of the pandemic. So now you go from working at this job all these years to now having to transition in your home and still take care of the kids when they get home, cook, single parents, and deal with all of the extra stuff that comes with it, in addition to not having that support to help them with this new way of living. What I like the most about it is they're not scared anymore to seek help. But what has really helped is we have more companies and organizations that are providing mental health within their organization. And they're saying, hey, this is EAP. You'll get 5 to 10 sessions free. Just call this number. They even having people come out doing yoga, meditation, mindfulness, self-care within the workplace. So it's starting to change, but there is some pushback from, like you said, we talked about generation, where your mom or your dad or your grandmother, whoever raised you, saying, counseling, what you doing talking to some white folk for, or saying things like that. This is something that's been told to me. I'm repeating exactly what they're telling me. White people go to counseling, but that's not true. I honestly, 90% of my clients are Black.
Wow. That's awesome.
And I'm booked. So, and they're steady coming, and people, they want the help. They want to be able to have a different outlet and not be judged. I think that's the most important. They don't want to be judged by their family, and some of them are secretly seeking counseling because they don't want to be judged by family.
Hey, Crystal, why do you think people think that way, that only Caucasians or uppity rich people need counseling?
I think it's because, first of all, it was never provided to a resource to Blacks. We didn't grow up with that resource. Just like how you have, white people and their children, they were educated on finances. And I hate to keep going back to that, but it's the truth. We're not given financial education. If we were, I think our chips will be a little bit more tight than what we are today. So now we have our cousins, our nieces. I have children, and I'm talking to them about finances all the time, teaching them different things. And there's still a lot of things that I don't know, but it wasn't provided as a resource, Larry, which is why it's looking down upon as if it's a white person thing, because their kids were in counseling. I remember being in high school, and some of my white classmates, they were in counseling, and I was in counseling. I even looked like that at that time.
Hey,
what you counseling for? But it was a resource that was provided to them. They were educated about it, and their parents took advantage.
Right.
Our parents didn't have this.
I think for us, a lot of things historically have been maybe protection mechanisms. We needed to be tough. We needed to be strong historically. And so some things have outlasted their usefulness. That be tough, be strong, endure everything, that worked when we needed it. Times are changing. And as the time changes, our mentality needs to shift and change with it. We have opportunities now that we've never had before. Right. And so because we have opportunities that are so similar to other cultures, white cultures and other cultures, then we tend to have some of the same, mental issues and challenges that other cultures have. But then we try to hold ours down on our own without getting help. That has outlasted its usefulness. It's time now to seek the help that you need so that you can move to the next level. There are some horrible things that have happened to us in our past.
Yes.
But to try to push that down makes us feel undeserving of wealth, undeserving of love, undeserving of our own self-confidence and self-love and self-awareness and self-care. We have to deal with all of those issues so that we can move forward and not be stuck to what worked in the past. To be honest, in my opinion, it didn't work in the past. There was so much incest going on in families.
It did
It
not.
didn't work.
People was hiding all kinds of stuff that was family secrets, and who was,
Yes.
don't get me started on family secrets.
Yes.
All of that foolishness. We've been needing counseling for a long time, but we needed to always have this show of strength. And so now that we are able to understand that strength comes with wellness, with wholeness. And so we need to take advantage of that.
Right. And Renee, you said something. Of course, you know, it's a lot of things that I can't say due to confidentiality. But what I can say, when you mention secrets, family secrets, that's huge.
It's a mess.
It's a mess.
It's a whole mess.
It's a mess. You'd be surprised by so many people who have those secrets in the family that has been suppressed. I'm finding myself having to help my clients process just that.
Yes.
And it takes a minute.
Carry that baggage into then now I want to start a business, or I want to find my purpose, or I want to be an entrepreneur, or I want to be able to be at church and raise my hands and not feel shame.
Right.
It's hard to find the wellness if it's covered up with all of that. So you have to get help.
Right.
I do want to ask about this, and Larry, you may get to it with one of your questions, but the cost of care for mental health. Can we touch on that just a little bit? Because a lot of times people are challenged. Maybe they want to get help, but insurance doesn't readily cover it. And I didn't know if anybody had maybe kind of thought about that in this conversation, if there's room for it even. Because I know that in my own family and challenges, I'm saying in my house with my children, as they were growing up and going through adolescence, and we had good health insurance. But I discovered that $50 or whatever they were giving towards the counseling did not cover the cost of the services. My husband and I we went through we've been married for 22 years. You best believe we've been in some marriage counseling. It was not free. It was not covered.
Really?
No.
So
no.
only experience I can, and Crystal can talk more about the financial, but when I went through marriage counseling, mine was 100% free.
Right. And we went to the church. It was free at the church, but we actually wanted to go, outside.
No, I didn't go through the church. I didn't want to go through the church. We went through an outside individual that was provided by my job. And even currently right now, I will say this, with our insurance that we have now, I reached out to someone because I was like, man, I just feel like I need to talk to someone, and it was free. So I've not had the experience where I had to pay for it. So Crystal, I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah. Honestly, Renee, it really depends on your insurance. It depends on your insurance, what type of plan you have. I have some people who have great insurance. They don't have to pay for anything. Then I may have someone who may have a co-insurance of 20%. And then once they meet their deductible, then it'll be covered. So it really just depends on your insurance provider. But what I can say is, if you're in the DFW, the Dallas area, for anyone 0 to 17 years old, I have a resource where you can get free counseling through a program called the Family Tree Program. And there are, I know specifically 2 Black clinicians who are excellent, who's a part of that program, and they will work with you and the family for free. You get 10 sessions. That's a lot. That's a lot of time. And it's a free service. It's available. A lot of people don't know about it, but anytime someone brings it to my attention that they're seeking counseling for their children, I provide that service to them as a referral. So the Family Tree Program is a program in Dallas, and it's available and it's free, and you can get counseling.
Yes, that's awesome.
I can share that with my psychology courses, because I know some of the students in there are early college students. So I appreciate that for myself.
Most certainly.
Yeah, and one more thing on that, we discovered here in the Houston area that Sam Houston State University has a doctoral program in counseling, and they provide free counseling. So you can find it if your insurance doesn't cover it. There are places where you can go. And my husband is an educator, and so it may just be that the school district, just the kind of insurance that we had through his job, just wasn't as good as some of the others. But I just want to put that out there, that sometimes people want the help, but they can't afford $60 a session or $100 a session, but they want the help. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, that's true. And then, we have to do better as clinicians and getting that information out there too. I'm gonna be honest with you, because we know about a lot of these different programs. They're not specifically it's not my program, but I do know other people who may even have a sliding scale fee. Instead of paying $100, you may get someone who do a pro bono or a sliding scale fee of $40, you know, for so many sessions, you know. So we have to do better as clinicians. I'm talking to my community, and I'm trying to build a community to where when people ask, I'm able to dish out that information so that they can go ahead and get started with services.
Yeah.
So Crystal, what I hear you saying is my next session is free with you, right?
Well, we may do like a little pro bono, you know. I'm just, you know. We can talk offline.
No, I'm just kidding, man. I appreciate it though. Thanks. Go ahead, Larry.
So as we talk about mental health and healthy habits, what are some of the challenges that people face outside of family asking them, like, why the hell are you going to see them, or what are some other challenges that people may face when they try to incorporate healthy habits and improving their mental health?
Being consistent. Being consistent. I mean, mental health is just like you getting up at the beginning of the, I'm gonna use myself for an example. At the beginning of every year, I always say, I'm gonna lose weight, I'm gonna eat healthy, I'm gonna make better choices. I'll start off doing very well. And then when I start seeing those small wins, those little results, I can lose 5 pounds and think I'm on one, I'm ready. And then I stop, you know, because I became complacent and satisfied with those quick results. But you have to be consistent, and you have to keep going and not stop when you get those small wins, because just 30 days is 30 days. It takes about 30 days to get in the habit of doing something. But if I go hard for 2 weeks, I can see results, and then I stop. And then it's hard to get back on track because you keep telling yourself every day, all right, I'm gonna get up in the morning, I'm gonna pray, I'm gonna do my meditations, you know, I'm gonna do this guided meditation. Then when I get up, I'm gonna work out, then I'm gonna go take a shower, get dressed, drink a smoothie. Don't that sound good? You sound like
good.
You know, it sounds good, but it's in your head. So a lot of times we're stuck in our head and we can't get out of our head because we too busy focusing at the finish line when we haven't even started the race.
Yeah.
So it's just being consistent. And once you have a routine and a pattern and you keep going, you know, even if you get off track, you just have to keep going. And I'm a huge offender of that, but it doesn't stop me from thinking about what I need to do and getting back on track. So consistency is what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, I'm gonna go deep on this one.
Let's do it.
So I'm coming for somebody. Who are you hanging around? Who you sleeping with? Who's in your circle? Who do you spend time with? So we have to, if the word of the day is holistic wellness, then we have to look at all of it. It's hard to be let's just go here. Let's say I want to be more healthy. I want to get off whatever I'm on, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is. But if I'm still hanging with that clique, then that's going to make it very, very challenging for me to have a lifestyle change about wellness, about my own wellness. If I'm hanging around, my top 5 that I'm hanging with, they smoking blunts and hanging, I mean, that's what we do day and night. We drinking, we hanging, we partying, that's all we do. But then I want to take better care of myself in every aspect. Then I know that I need to change who I'm with. And I know for me, that was like an ouch. Like I had to let go of some people when I made the decision, when I was younger, that I wanted to do some different things. I wanted to start looking at my money different. I wanted to start dating a little bit better. The guys I was dating, I needed to come up a level. I was like, who I was with is, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm picking wrong. You know,
Yeah,
sometimes
I remember some of them. No, I'm kidding.
yeah.
I ain't gonna say nothing, cuz.
Don't go there, cuz. Don't go there, cuz. Just because you my cousin, you don't get to tell on me. But yeah, so you know, some of that as far as wellness is who are you spending time with? And we know deep down, we know we need to do something different. But it's a mindset shift to make that change. And it is painful, but you push through the pain and you do it anyway. Change your circle, change who you hang around, you will change your life.
That's right. Renee, you said a word. Like I always talk about circle of influence. And your circle of influence can influence a lot of different things for the good or for the negative. But if you find yourself around the same group of people doing the same things and you're not progressing, you're not achieving goals, they're not pushing you to achieve goals, they're not showing you how to achieve those goals, you need to change your circle. It can be the worst decision ever to stay with a group of people. I would say even being with someone who you were started with in high school. People change over years and
Right.
everybody go in different directions, but you all may not be on the same page anymore. So the circle of influence is huge when it comes down to your holistic health.
Yeah. And it can be like crabs in a bucket. You trying to climb out, they steady pulling you back in. Oh, you think you white. Oh, you trying to be better than somebody. Oh, you better than us. Okay, I got you. Okay. It's time to move on. If you feeling different than your circle, that is a check in your spirit, boo-boo. It's time to do something different.
It's funny
Listen to that.
that you say that because I did a presentation on Friday, um, and it was to a group of high school students, and I asked them, how many people wanted to be successful, and just different a variety of questions. And most of the students, I said, now all of y'all are sitting with y'all partners, y'all friends, and blah 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 blah. And I told them, I said, look to the left and look to the right, and be prepared that you're gonna have to cut off one of these people, because when you continue, as you grow, the person next to you is not going to be clapping, and eventually you're gonna have to realize, like, this person is not good for my circle and I'm gonna have to cut them off. And they was all like, and I was like, trust me.
Yeah. That's real talk.
Everybody that is with you is not meant to stay with you. Some people are there for a season and some people are there for a reason, and you need to figure that out. But I totally agree with what you just said.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to what we were saying earlier about his history and what had happened. It has happened in our culture over time. There are some things that we are holding on to that we should have let go of. The same is true for relationships. When a relationship has run its course, you need to be able, hard at it as it is, you need to be able to let go of the relationship. You're going to have to replace that relationship with something healthy. And sometimes that speaks to who's in our bed. It may not, that person may not be the right person. And so you need to be willing to love yourself enough. Talk about wellness. You got to be willing to love yourself enough to let them go and move on.
And that's a struggle. That's a struggle for a lot of people.
It is.
Because that's when they realize that they really don't love themselves.
Facts.
So that's what I talk about a lot, about self-care and self-love and self-awareness, because a lot of times we know what's wrong for us and it's not healthy, but we kind of like that toxic relationship and the things that come with it because we don't know anything different.
Wow.
Man, we got a question from the audience, but I have a question, a personal question that I want to ask you all. We talk about toxic relationship, what we're seeing in the media with some other relationships, i.e. Will Smith, for example. But let's go to the audience for questioning.
Miss Carolyn.
Yes, how y'all doing?
Hi.
Listening to the ladies speak about the circle of influence. And my question is, what if that circle is your own family or your extended family? We have a really large family and they're not supportive of you going to a therapist or a counselor. There's a little bit of, why are you doing that? Why can't you talk to me? I'm your sister, I'm your mother, I'm your aunt, I'm your brother. What do we say to them when they may be part of the issue of why you're going where you're going?
Right.
Why do they have to know? Why do you have to tell them your business?
Well,
If
I
go
think
ahead.
I won't anymore. Thank you, Renee.
some things that you need to keep in your house, you do need to keep in your house. So let me just be honest with you. When my husband and I first got married, it was a struggle. My husband, bless his heart, very strong man, but was a mama's boy to his heart. When I tell you that his mom had a hard time cutting them apron strings, it was tough. And so I wanted us to go to counseling so that he could understand the concept of leave and cleave. We cannot be more loyal to your mother than you are to me. I need you here. And so we had to go through that as far as counseling was concerned. And we didn't share that with her. Now it's 22 years later. I love my mother-in-law, and she and I have a wonderful, beautiful relationship now. But it took us some time to get to that. And my husband had to mature and grow into being my husband and not her son. And so, well, my husband first and then her son. But we had to go through counseling to get to that. So I would say if you and your significant other or someone in your home needs to go to counseling, do what you need to do, and then don't necessarily share it with everyone else. You can start making the changes and pivots that you may need to make without making a formal announcement about it, perhaps.
Right. And you're right. Actually, family is a lot of the main issues why some of my clients are in counseling. They don't know how to separate, And one thing about it is you have to learn about taking care of yourself. You have to. If you don't take care of yourself, your family is just going to continue to feed all of the negative energy and all the things that you don't want to hear, and you find yourself agreeing to it and not doing anything about it. When you go to counseling, that is a personal choice. No one forces you to do counseling. And when you sign up for counseling, the session will be between you and the therapist, not the family. Nothing will be said. It's confidential unless you threaten to harm yourself or harm someone else. But other than that, that is something that you do on your own individual terms. It does not have to be shared with your mother, your father, your sister, because they wouldn't understand. And as you become a better person of yourself by going to counseling, they will start seeing those changes and may even start saying, what's wrong with you? You acting a little bit different now. And at that time, if you want to say, you know what, I've been in counseling for the last 6 months, it's been very helpful. When we start sharing the positive news about counseling and the results that we're receiving, that's when people start second guessing, well, maybe it's not so bad.
Okay.
Maybe it's not so bad, because that's when the referrals will start coming in. Then you may have someone that you know personally say, hey, I heard you say you went to counseling. How was it? And you share your good news. Hey, can you, give me your counselor information? And then it's a trickle effect. But if you don't do it in privacy and get the results that you need, you're not going to be able to say anything positive anyway.
Great, thank you. I think I was mentioning it in a family conversation once, hoping somebody else would pick up on it and get on the bandwagon, so to speak, because they're part of the issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
But thank you very much.
Oh yeah, most
Thank
certainly.
you for the question.
Thank you for sharing.
Any other questions from the audience? Yes. Mama Jefferson, what's going on?
Oh, I'm good. I'm enjoying this. Actually, I called my sister. Like, look, we've been on several podcasts, but you need to get in on this one today.
Did you just call them out though?
I'm going to. No, I mean, I'm just keeping it real. You young ladies are fabulous. But what I wanted to do, Carolyn, address. I don't have a question. Just kind of briefly address what you were saying about your family. It's a good thing, maybe to have your family, maybe somewhat involved, but maybe somebody or two, some people that you may trust, because what I have found out, and not anybody in particular, well, I'm not going to call anybody out, but sometimes family, as much as we love them and they're a priority, they tend to distort our thinking.
Thank you.
We're like, well, okay, if mama said this, or daddy said this, or sister said this, I'm close to a brother. Yeah, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not going to see counseling. So I'm saying people that are the closest to you sometimes can distort it because you have so much love for them. So I agree with these young ladies in that you have to take care of you first. And you shouldn't care about counseling or who's gonna think about what you're doing because you're going to counseling. I used to feel that exact same way. My sister would do, maybe you need to get some counseling. Oh, no, I'm not getting counseling. People think I'm crazy. No, I have learned that's what would help me if I needed it, depending on the issue. So that's all. I just wanted to add that.
That was
Thank you.
good. Thank you, Miss Jefferson.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from the audience before we jump into the next question?
On you, my brother.
All right. So I wanted to get to the media, but I have to we have to ask this question because we're focusing on finances, and I think that that's a topic that we don't talk a lot about because we don't want nobody in our financial business. But let's talk specifically about financing and wellness, how the two come together. Why is it so important? And why is it something that we need to continue to explore?
Well, if you don't mind, can I touch on this one just real quick? Do you know how many or I can't tell you how many women I have worked with who feel like they have a genuine purpose, they have a dream, they have an entrepreneurial spirit, but they do not feel deserving of starting a business and earning income outside of their W-2 job. They're scared. And so when we boil it down to really like what is the fear? What's keeping you from it? That there is a mindset issue. And that's kind of what I opened with at the very beginning, was that large amounts of money, sometimes when you talk to people about, you could be having clients that are paying you $3,000, $4,000. My clients pay me $3,000 a month, and I don't blink. That's just what it costs. So if you want to if you want to have a skill that you have honed over the years, it has value. You can monetize it, ladies and gentlemen, but you have to understand that you are worth that. Whatever it is that you're costing, do your research, find out what you should be charging, and you are worth that. Dantrayl and Larry, I think we were talking about charging for speaking engagements and so forth. Thousands of dollars are being paid to people. Just come and talk.
They are.
Come and talk.
Not to ever take another speaking engagement for free.
No, sir. I told him
Get your
that
speakers
on
kit.
our first phone call, didn't I, Larry? On our strategy session. You don't ever go talk for free.
That's
Never.
right.
Because you have too much experience. You got too many letters behind your name. You've gone through too much. You have so much worth that you are worth every dime and more of what you are charging someone to provide that talk, or to provide that service, or to provide whatever it is that you're giving to someone. And so part of our wellness has to be to understand our worth, and that affects our wealth. And so we need to really get that. And I think that may be a piece that may be missing for some of us.
How do you get to that worth, cuz?
So for me, I did it by researching. I worked in corporate for almost 20 years. So I worked in mergers and acquisitions. I did operations on some of them multi-billion-dollar deals. And so I wasn't the manager or leading. I was in the back, like where nobody would see you, doing due diligence, putting together packages and all kinds of things, like organizing things in a corporate arena. So I thought to myself, you know what? I could do this for small business owners. Like I've been doing it in corporate. There are a lot of small business owners that don't understand the way that, things work in systems and automation and putting together things in there to build their business, how to get an LLC and to set up things, how to have teams and team culture. And so I just started pricing. To be honest, Dantrayl, I started looking at what are other business consultants, coaches of all colors. What are other people charging? And so I did a lot of research just to study What are they offering? How does my experience match up with their experience? And so I price myself comparably, to be honest. So there is no, sometimes people will say that there's a dispensation of justice when it comes to at work, you know, white men will make more than black women. Well, I looked at coaches or consultants that were doing what I was doing, who were white men, Asian, you know, different cultures, and I priced myself right with them because I see the worth and the value in what I do. Now you have to choose your audience. My audience looks like me, my clients look like me, that's okay. But I'm giving them excellent service. Now you can't charge a premium price and give terrible service.
Right.
Y'all can't, you know, charge for a speech and then you go up there and, you know, talking about something you don't know. So you have to be, you know, do your research, do your due diligence, be excellent in your field, find a niche, focus in, learn everything you can about it, and then take your God-given talents and gifts and skills and you charge people for that.
Right. And in addition to that, invest in a coach. Invest in a coach. Invest in a coach. I recently invested in a coach because I knew I had an expertise, I had a skill set, I have credentials. I had to work hard to get my license. It didn't just come with taking a test and passing it. I had to do hours and invest a lot of time in it. And sometimes you want people to give you services for pennies on a dollar. Now, not trying to highway rob anybody, but my time is money. And when you learn that and you learn how to do pricing, and sometimes you have to have a coach to help you make it make sense. And when I invested in my business coach, she made it make sense, you know, and all of us were undercharging, all of us.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times, even when you compare what you want to charge to someone else, you got to look at demographics, where they located at, you know, you got to put all this stuff, you know, into play. But once you break down everything that you do, the time that it takes to do it, and the delivery, it's all worth it. I believe there needs to be more entrepreneurs out there because we all have gifts that we're not using. And your gifts can financially take care of you and your family if you have the right structure and you automate and you learn your back house. And that comes with a coach. So I highly suggest someone, you know, investing into a coach. Because when your finances is good, life is good, you feel good, and it makes you want to do better as a person. And then holistically, you're able to relax and focus on all the things that comes with that.
Right.
You all talking, and I love the advice that you're giving. Take the entrepreneur hat off now, and let's talk about personal finances, right? So, like, outside of owning your own business and getting that structure set up, let's just talk about, like, I just have a job, a 9 to 5 job. How do I really do better with my finances? What does that look like? How do I become well within my finances if I'm just doing this part, like this aspect?
I think for me, before I became an entrepreneur, I think it's just being around the right person as far as like your tax professional really should be someone who's a CPA. I'm honestly, if you have a CPA and someone that does your taxes and that's what they do for a living, they should be able to provide you with the tools with your money. You also want to be connected to someone who sells life insurance. You know, life insurance isn't just for when you die on a death benefit. There are life insurance policies where you can actually cash out while you're living
Facts.
and do investments. But when you're not connected to the right people financially, you wouldn't know what to do and you'll be living paycheck to Monday because that's all you know. A lot of people don't even know how to do simple budgeting. They just don't understand. All they know is I got to have this much money out for this check, that check, and they can't tell you what's going to be left over. They can't tell you how much they need to budget for groceries. They don't know what they need to budget for gas. Some people just swipe their card and whatever they got left, that's what they're going to pay on the next bill. But when we haven't been educated financially, financial literacy is very important, which is why it needs to be in the schools in elementary. It needs to start in elementary school. It doesn't need to start when we get to college. You know, it's barely in high school. So when we have that financial piece down, I think it helps us be better as adults growing into adults, to handle money and look at it differently. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, the capacity to earn in mental health right now is huge. That is almost scary to me right now.
Oh, wow.
It's scary. But when you're not used to making that type of money or coming from that type of money, it can be scary and intimidating. But when you have the right support system and the right coach to say, oh no, it's limitless, it helps you get in a better headspace, and you have to reframe your mindset to be prepared for that. So it's all about education. Everything goes back to education.
I agree.
Sounds like you saying I need to take my psychology degree and go ahead and get me a counselor's license.
Man, I'm just saying. Hey, I'm just saying.
Yeah. I think this is something we all know. Poverty is a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can take two people who have the exact same situation, grow up in the same neighborhood, in an underserved area of any major city in America, two young men of color, same experiences, same schools. One of them will become successful and go on to move out of the neighborhood, move up in life, and do great things in the world globally. The other one will decide, for whatever reason, where I'm at is where I'm going to be, and I'm good with it.
Yeah.
And that's just a decision that they made to stay where they are. So it's a mentality or a mindset that we all have to make a decision as to who we want to be. As far as financial literacy, absolutely we need it in schools. But I'm going to tell you right now, for those of us that missed it, because I'm on that bus, I missed it in school. I didn't get any financial education in school. So I've learned that YouTube, I can get a doctorate in YouTubeology and financial literacy. Oh my goodness. You can learn anything on YouTube. So you can find people that look like us or that look like you. And you can find people that are appealing to you, that speak to you the way that you need. And find on YouTube people who are teaching all kinds of things, like the actual fundamentals of financial literacy. And like you're saying, Crystal, to have a life insurance policy, you want to make sure your family is safe and secure. So you put in place a life insurance policy. You need to have a will. There are some basic things that you need. You need to have basic savings. We all understand with the pandemic why 6 months of savings was necessary. The reality of it is some people can't save because they don't make enough to save. That brings me back to YouTube. You can learn to do any side hustle on YouTube and monetize it.
Wow.
So if you want to make extra money, right now I'm looking for a social media person. And I'm not looking for somebody with a college degree. I'm looking for somebody to know how to run Facebook ads.
Right.
You can learn that on YouTube. I don't have time. I got a client right now asking me how much mileage to pay for her employee, So I'm working. I don't have time to learn how to run Facebook ads, but I will pay somebody that knows how to do it. So if you feel like you're short on funds, then the mentality should be, I got to get my hustle on. I can learn how to do it for free. Build up, start posting on social media. I'm just going to give you the fundamentals. Start posting on social media about your little business. Social media is free to post on. And so you can turn, Dantrayl, I know we're talking about personal finances, but I always bring it back around to business because my personal finances would be better if I had an additional stream of income coming in.
Okay.
From somewhere. So I always end up on the business side because I need as many income streams as I can possibly get.
Right. And then you know what, Renee, we have to think about this too. It's all about exposure as well. And I see it in children and adolescents. If they haven't been exposed to anything, it's not much that they have to be looking for. I go back to my own children. They've been going on college trips since they were in elementary school. And that was a no-brainer on what college they want to go to. But think about the children who's never been on a college tour. They've never been outside of Dallas. And all they know is, Oak Cliff or South Dallas. That's all they know. So their mind frame is stuck on survival. So they're going to do the things to survive if they haven't been exposed or provided with it right education or the right mentor to say, hey, no, it's more. No, I see something else in you. I see something else. You know, I'm an educator. So, and I work with the little bitty ones. I worked at all levels, but elementary, that's grade school, that's most important because we get them before they get to secondary. And if we don't make sure, if we don't provide them the tools that they need, you know, I'm very intentional about career day. I make sure that I always have somebody there to talk about finances. And I have a variety of group of people. You just don't see polices and nurses and doctors because it's so much more than that. You know, it's so much more than that. You can be a journeyman. You can be a master electrician. They make money.
Yes, they do.
All kids are not going to go to college and get a 4-year degree. They can go get a certification and they can follow a master plumber or a master electrician for about 2-3 years and then make the money just like the person that they follow and have a mentor. So there are so many different options, but we have to expose our babies to the stuff that's out there. And because we don't want to just we don't want them to just think that you have to survive and stay in the hood. You can do something. You can stay in the hood, but you also can make money in the hood and revitalize it.
Yeah,
that's true.
Legal money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's flip it. You know, so we have to, it's all about exposure and providing that education and providing that mentorship that even adults need.
I agree.
Well, we appreciate y'all insight. I think y'all definitely dropped a lot of knowledge on us. Dantrayl normally closes us out with a quote. What you got for us today, my brother?
All right, man. This quote says, I would say what others have said. It gets better. One day you'll find your tribe. You just have to trust that people are out there waiting to love you and celebrate you for who you are. In the meantime, the reality is you might have to be your own tribe. You might have to be your own best friend. That's not something that's not something they're going to teach you in school. So start the work of loving yourself. Wentworth Miller.
Hey,
That's deep.
Kendrick Lamar got a song called "I," and I mess with my wife all the time about it because I sing it, and I tell him, you know, normally I say I love myself. People used to say, "Oh, you conceited." Nah, today I say it, and it's a whole mental thing that I just like. I need to say this so I get myself through it. But man, great quote, my brother.
Appreciate it, bro.
Thank you.
And thank you, ladies, again for being here. We greatly appreciate it. We appreciate our audience for tuning in. Dantrayl, you got anything else?
Yeah, real quickly, I know we had a couple people that raised their hands and apologize that we didn't get a chance to get to all the questions. However, two quick things. One, if you can put your information in the chat or state your information of how you can be reached, so these individuals that are logged on can follow up with you with their personal questions, so that they can get their questions answered. And two, make sure you all tune back next week for our final episode, where Larry and I will sit down and kind of dissect and give some highlights in our own personal perspectives of what we've learned and taken away from this semester. It's been a really, really great semester. And also, we allow our listeners to come on and share their perspectives of what they've taken away from the entire semester. So, by all means, panelists, please share your information so that individuals also give you opportunity to promote your personal business as well. So, the floor is yours.
Right. Thank you. Well, I was trying to pull up the chat. We don't have access, you know, so I'm just gonna say
You don't
this.
have access to it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So,
Damn.
I am on Instagram. I am also on Facebook at 7, and that's SEVEN Counseling Wellness, 7 Counseling Wellness. On the 1st, which is the May 1st, is the beginning of Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes, it is.
And we have some things in store. I have some great news that I'm dropping on May 1st. It's going to be epic. Follow me on Instagram for that information. I would love to have you. Again, that is 7 Counseling Wellness.
Awesome. Congrats on the book, Crystal.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mine is The Renee Williams on Instagram and Facebook, TheRenee. Williams.
Say that
Del
again,
Renee
Renee.
Williams. TheRenee Williams.
Got it.
On Facebook and Instagram. You can find me there.